Happy New Year. There you go. Well, thank you all for being here this morning. I have enjoyed doing these media availabilities, and I wanted today just to give you a little sort of a year-end close out, and of course, take your questions at the end of this. So thank you again for being here. We've had a lot of success in 2018, and most of you have covered a lot of that success. But I do think at the end of the year, it is worth looking back and reminding ourselves of the successes that we have had and the momentum that we have going here in St. Louis. These things will be things that you already know, but we currently have over $8 billion in projects either completed or underway from the river all the way out to the city limits. We finished the calendar year with $1.2 billion in construction permits, and this sort of continues the momentum that we had and announced in the last fiscal year, so even additional building permits. You know, we opened the new Gateway Arch, the Soldiers Memorial. You know that we closed on the 97-acre NGA site. You know, I think we're going to continue to celebrate this NGA project, but the closing of on that property was really a milestone for our community and, of course, for NGA as well. Forbes named us one of the top cities for startup companies, and you know we have a great opportunity to hopefully land a new Major League Soccer team. We focused on vacant properties this past year, so we have demolished 313 buildings compared to 149 in 2017, so more than double. But we have 270 buildings that are under contract to be demolished, so this momentum is going to continue. You know, we learned that we all have to develop or help to develop the capacity in the demolition contractors, because when you haven't been demoing many buildings, that capacity is not always there. So not only has this program developed the demolition contractor capacity, but it's also developed deconstruction. And so we talked about that one other time, but deconstruction is where building is used thing out of that building that is possible. Bricks, the old wood, the metal, so that they're able to be reused in different properties. We are also in the process of implementing protocol that's neighborhood stabilization back in April of buildings which are in shape and be able to stabilize those buildings through a new roof, through gutter, tuck pointing, basically trying to watertight those buildings. Additional water does not get in them. So we're in the process of beginning that. Sorry, wrong year. Voters passed a $50 million bond issue, which is going to provide a lot of structure, including fire trucks, improvements to our corrections facilities, bridge. So we're just beginning the implementation of that. There's been a lot of talk about trash this year. We have 22 new have been purchased or leased. 16 of them are here already. Another 6 are on the way. And I mean, the good news of the solid waste, recycled waste is being picked up on a toe. We are continuing that effort. We also expand, so St. Louis is no different in that regard. We'll launch a much more vigorous recycling education program this year, because what gets picked up out of our recycling dumpsters is not, because it just doesn't meet the standards. So we'll continue to do that. 151,000 people took 600 trips on news, and they traveled 760,000. We know that The scooters are everywhere, and a lot of people are riding them. Certainly, we are going to continue to encourage people to wear a helmet and to ride the scooters in the street rather than on the sidewalk, because the scooters move pretty quickly. So we want to make sure that they're safe as possible. We do have a task for how to encourage the behavior, but basically people have to take responsibility here and wear their helmet. 15,000 of them have now been converted to LED lights. Some of them weren't that on a cumulative basis. So we have a number of them, and it's easy to see which lights are the LED lights, because if you look up at them, they are a much whiter light than the amber of the old type of street light. Public safety continue to be down 140 police officers. That's been a priority since the day I came into office. A very, very active recruiting. If you know of an individual who wants to be a police officer, we certainly encourage them to. And if you know of a young person, might want to be in our cadet program, encourage that person to apply as well. So this year we've had 140 trainees enrolled in the police academy. So far we've graduated them. It's going on currently, and also have 36 cadets in our, it just began in July. So you probably know, you can become a police cadet. You make $13 an hour. You work 15 or 20 hours a week. Hopefully you will also be in school. And then when you're 21, when you become a police officer, you will have learned a lot more about being a police officer, and also be much more prepared to go in and be successful in the police academy. Cameras deployed to catch illegal dumping. A lot has been written about that. Trash resulted in 880 hours so far of community service and $43,000 in fines. Continue with this program in 2019, and we do expect to deploy more alley cameras, which really is the key to being able to catch illegal dumpers. Last summer, we put about 750 young work through Stl Youth Jobs. We know that a job as a young person or a job as a teen is a life-changing experience for many. We hope to have 1,000 young people in that program. We need a couple of things. The city itself has increased our investment in that from 2 years ago, $300,000, last summer, $475,000. We really want our employers to both hire these. That is effective for our public safety and effective for allowing those be able to thrive and live their best life. Economic development. Regionally, and this is the numbers that are available, the area has added about 12,000 jobs. But in the city alone, we know that our payroll has increased $100 in 2018 over 2017. That's a significant amount of money. Some of that's new jobs, and increase. 1,580 assisted by Slate to find a job. And the way they define is, if you, not just that you get the job, but that you keep the job for 19 today. We are releasing the Equity Indicators Report. Frankie up yesterday, but we've got a couple of technical difficulties. So we're going to be releasing that today. It was one of the recommendations of the Ferguson Commission to do a report which measures in all kinds of subjects. There are 72 different indicators. What we found is that St. Louis is, like many cities, disparity between out of African Americans and Caucasians. And so that report, I think, provides us with a roadmap on this for all of 2018. It was funded by the Rockefeller Foundation, and we had an office who met with many, many people in order to measure these indicators. So that's a story perhaps for another day, but that'll be introduced to put on our website today. Hayden say that the Hayden Rectangle was an effective crime-fighting tool, and that there will be 2 additional areas added to that, primarily downtown and as well Dutchtown. So we are continuing to reform incentives and create a new citywide economic development strategy. That work is about to get underway. I know that we're continuing to explore doing business in a different way at Lambert Airport. Recently, in the last few days or maybe a week, some information has come out about Better Together and what they are proposing. There's only a bit of it that's out there, I think, but we expect that a new report shortly from Better Together. Good morning. And to upgrade the convention center, the city has passed the ordinance to allow the upgrade of the convention center, and we're hopeful that St. Louis County, they are committed to doing this. We'll pass it here in the early part of this year. To a really positive 2019, 2018, a lot of momentum, and we expect more of that to continue. So thank you all for being here, and of course, happy to take your questions.
You mentioned Slate. Regarding the 2 dozen current and former employees that we've talked to, expressing a lot of concern,
Right.
a lot of alarm. They feel like they brought those concerns to you, to the mayor's office. What is your response to that and to their concerns in general?
Well, I watched last night, or actually on the internet, and this about Slate. One, we have new leadership. Employees who do have complaints, there is a process. The city has a process, and they really should follow that process. We're concerned about employees who have complaints as well, and so follow that process, and because we want everybody to be treated fairly.
Investigation based on what you saw yesterday?
We have, and we to move up their audit of Slate schedule. We're looking at investigation is but we are also looking into those out. We feel several things about Slate. One, there's a lot of new energy at Slate, and that has taken place. We know that in leadership, some folks are not happy. Slate has done a lot of Wednesdays. They have expanded the hours. They're knocking folks who need jobs. And so the 9,508 I got this morning of folks placed, those folks we hope was 26,000 people served this year. And so that we want everything to be fair and square.
So. What are your thoughts on the Better Together plan so far, the details that have emerged? What particularly when you think about putting it to a statewide vote?
Well, let me say a couple of things. One, the purpose Better Together and what has been announced so far is to combine the old city and the old county. I call them old, but the current old into a new metro city. And to bring us together that we can grow as a region. And we've seen other regions do this. The reason that it has to be a statewide standard is this is a new type of a county. The new city county doesn't exist currently. And so that has to be a statement in order. There are hundreds of things to still be discussed. The old city and the old county will actually put themselves in a new city. Once that is accomplished, we'll be a city of 1.4 million people. That's a city in the country. Certainly be hundreds of decisions and transition that.
So are you saying that this could go to a vote in 2020?
Yeah.
Legitimacy question about this. If outstate Missouri votes for it, and essentially the rest of the state, as they did with the earnings
I think that that's a legitimate question. You know, the way that St. Louis over its police department was, and so we, you know, we live under the Constitution of the state, and so it's not terribly unusual. The way it was through a statewide vote. These things are often have to be amended at the state level if we want to have an entirely new type of.
But certainly you've said so yourself when you hit on the gun issue that, you know, outstate
Yeah.
Missouri doesn't always understand some of the, right? So can you
Sure,
answer
sure. You know, the state legislature has preempted the city and other cities and counties as well, making their own laws with regard to guns, plastic bags, cold medicine, probably some other things I'm forgetting right now. But we're in the state of Missouri. This is the Constitution that we live under. This is the way it is.
After the slate thing, I just have a couple of questions.
Sure.
It seems like some of the federal felonies, mail like that, are you calling for or do you investigation?
I don't know of a federal investigation. One of the things, really, Lauren, it was your evidence. You have more than we had at the time through your sources, but certainly, if there is a misspend of federal money, we certainly would welcome a federal investigation if that is the case.
And how do you get to the point where, you know, it's a theoretical possibility to where you pick up the phone and say, we need.
I think we're in that process right now of considering that. If there is,
Trigger the need for.
we need to find out. We need to know more, but that is definitely a possibility. If federal funds have been misspent, and I don't know that they have, but if they have, certainly that would be a federal investigation, and we would be in contact with Jeff Jensen's office.
Someone City Hall, I'm sorry.
One more thing, on a personal level, Bruce Franks has been, have you talked to him since these allegations against him? What is your reaction to his apparent big downfall with this?
Well, I wouldn't characterize it in the way that you talked with Bruce Franks since these allegations have been. Certainly can't have a misuse of funds if that. So I have not talked.
What's his status with?
You're leading me, Kevin. I don't know the answer to that.
We have time for about 2 more. Hasn't asked the question
Would
yet.
you like to see him removed, or I mean, how do you clean up this rat's nest?
Kevin, I'll respond to this, Kevin. I would say that no matter who it is, state representative or whether it's everybody has to only be paid for the hours that they work. So.
On that topic, though, some have indicated in City Hall that the state representative recommended Dr. Prince to you. Does that bring some hesitancy in your response because of that relationship?
It does not. Absolutely not. Yeah. I would say that I had left me.
Did state representative
Many people represented, many people, and Bruce Franks was one of them, recommended Dr. Alice Prince. And I think, frankly, I think she's done a good job. The system, this has been in place since 2015. And so this was something that was into this administration. We need to do a better job of keeping track of that time. I have seen the timesheets that you apparently also have seen, and we need a new system for keeping track of that. The mentorship program, and I believe has been put on a hiatus or suspended when these allegations came up with Dr. Prince on the 19th of December, I think. And so we've suspended that until we can get it figured out. The action that I took towards the end of 2017, when I learned that a state representative was working for a city agency, is I said, I don't think that's appropriate and that needs to end, and that did it shortly thereafter. And I think that that's not an appropriate thing. So that's the the timesheets that you're looking at are the timesheets from before that. But yeah, I mean, for hours that they don't work, regardless of who they are. I don't know that I do know that you have mentioned that there have been several instances, more than several instances. It appears that could have happened. We're gonna figure that out. We're gonna get to the bottom of that, and that can't happen.
Can you address crime in the city? I know Chief Hayden said violent crime is down when he had his community meeting, but our viewers and people who live in the city are being carjacked, being victims of violent crime.
Right.
I know he's expelled, but what are you hoping for? What are some concrete plans you can tell?
You can actually help us with this. I mean, you have the most access to our constituents through your medias. Violent crime is down. One violent crime is one too many. So you have to say those two things in the same sentence. As you know, in 2017, there were 205 murders. In 2018, there were 187 murders. We are down in terms of aggravated assaults. Doesn't matter, though, if you have had an instance. So we continue to work on that. Crime reduction is not all about policing, but it's certainly at least partly about policing, which is why we have the cadet program, which is why we have active recruiting. But it's also about summer jobs for kids. It's about poverty. It's about helping people to be able to earn a good living and have a good life without resorting to crime. So.
Final question for Christine.
Hi, Mayor. Just wanted to ask you about all the talk about Better Together and that sort of thing. When it comes to public safety, do you create one police department for St. Louis County, all the municipalities in St. Louis County and St. Louis City? Or do you support just St. Louis County Police merging with St. Louis City Police and leaving municipalities alone? Where do you fall on that?
Actually, just recently, within the last day, heard about this idea of just merging this county. I think that I got a copy of it about 10:30 last night. No, I don't think that is the point. The St. Louis City Police Department is an excellent, as I know it, so is St. Louis County. But we have 55 police departments. We know that consistent standards, consistent enforcement, consistent training. You don't have police departments, and you certainly don't get it binding two into one and leaving the other 53. That doesn't really do the job as far as so.
Here,
Thank you, everybody.
One final thing, Slate, is that
I did not know that. Is it a I guess a state representative can meet with a director at any time. I don't know. I'll follow up on that.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody, for coming to these press availabilities.